Brooksbrae Brick Factory. Prologue, a monument to an unfinished future. Hidden deep within the forests of Manchester Township, New Jersey, lies one of the most fascinating industrial ruins in the entire Pine Barrens, the Brooksbrae Brick Factory. Unlike many abandoned locations that slowly fade from memory, Brooksbrae continues to attract explorers, photographers, historians, and curious visitors more than a century after its abandonment. Massive brick walls rise from the forest floor. Kiln tunnels stretch into darkness. Trees grow where machinery once stood. Nature and history coexist in a landscape frozen somewhere between construction and collapse. At first glance, Brooksbrae appears similar to many other abandoned industrial sites throughout the Northeast. It is easy to imagine generations of workers passing through its buildings, locomotives hauling products away from the factory, and smokestacks filling the sky with industrial haze. However, Brooksbrae's story is unusual because much of that success never actually occurred. Unlike famous Pine Barrens towns such as Harrisville or Batstow, which operated successfully for decades before declining, Brooksbrae never truly achieved its intended purpose. The factory was built with enormous ambition and financial investment, yet circumstances beyond its control prevented it from becoming the thriving industrial center its founders envisioned. Its history is not simply the story of a failed factory. It is the story of early 20th century optimism, industrial expansion, personal tragedy, legal complications, economic uncertainty, and the relentless power of nature. To understand why Brooksbrae exists today as a ruin, we must travel back to a time when the Pine Barrens were viewed not as wilderness, but as a land filled with opportunity. Chapter 1: The Industrial Pine Barrens. Today, many people view the Pine Barrens as a vast wilderness stretching across southern New Jersey. Dense forests, cedar swamps, winding rivers, and sandy roads dominate the landscape. The region feels remote and untouched. Yet during the 18th and 19th centuries, the Pine Barrens were surprisingly industrialized. The area's natural resources attracted entrepreneurs from across the Northeast. Vast forests provided charcoal, which was essential for iron production. Rivers supplied water power for mills and furnaces. Iron ore deposits supported an extensive iron industry. Sand contributed to glassmaking. Clay deposits offered opportunities for brick and ceramic production. Entire communities were established around these industries. Towns emerged in areas that are now isolated forest. Workers lived in company-owned houses. Schools, stores, churches, and workshops were built to support growing populations. Places like Batstow, Adgen, Martha Furnace, and Harrisville became important industrial centers within the region. During the 19th century, however, technological advancements began changing the American economy. Larger factories located closer to major transportation hubs could produce goods more efficiently than many Pine Barrens operations. Railroads connected distant regions and reduced the importance of local manufacturing centers. One by one, many Pine Barrens industries declined. Yet while iron production and other industries struggled, another resource remained valuable: clay. Beneath the sandy soil of the Pine Barrens lay deposits of high-quality clay capable of supporting a profitable brick manufacturing industry. As American cities expanded rapidly during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, demand for building materials increased dramatically. Every new factory, warehouse, apartment building, school, and commercial structure required enormous quantities of brick. To ambitious investors, the clay deposits of Manchester Township represented an opportunity waiting to be developed. Chapter 2: The Discovery of Opportunity. By the late 19th century, industrialists had begun recognizing the potential of the clay deposits located throughout Ocean County and neighboring regions. Geological surveys revealed that large quantities of usable clay existed beneath the Pine Barrens landscape. Unlike many natural resources that were becoming exhausted, these clay deposits appeared abundant. At the same time, America was experiencing one of the most significant construction booms in its history. Cities such as New York, Philadelphia, Newark, and Camden were expanding rapidly. Immigration increased urban populations. Factories multiplied, railroads expanded. Municipal governments constructed schools, courthouses, and public infrastructure. Brick became one of the most important building materials of the era. Demand seemed almost limitless. Entrepreneurs saw an opportunity to combine the Pine Barrens clay resources with expanding railroad networks. If clay could be mined locally, processed efficiently, and shipped to major cities, significant profits could be generated. Several clay mining operations emerged throughout the region. One of the most important was the Adams Clay Mining Company, which extracted large quantities of clay near the future Brooksbrae site. Investors began envisioning a modern manufacturing complex capable of transforming raw clay into finished building products. Among those investors was William J. Kelly, a businessman whose ambitions would shape the future of Brooksbrae. Kelly believed the region could support a major industrial operation that would rival established brick manufacturers elsewhere in the Northeast. His vision extended beyond a simple factory. He imagined an integrated industrial complex that could mine, process, manufacture, and ship products efficiently using modern technology. The stage was set for one of the most ambitious industrial projects ever attempted in the Pine Barrens. Chapter 3: William Kelly's Ambitious Vision. William J. Kelly was not interested in creating a small family business or a modest local enterprise. His plans were much larger. During the early 1900s, Kelly invested heavily in the creation of what would become the Brooksbrae Brick Factory. The facility was intended to serve as a modern manufacturing center capable of producing large quantities of brick and terracotta products for growing urban markets. The chosen location offered several advantages. First, nearby clay deposits provided a reliable source of raw materials. Second, railroad access allowed finished products to be transported efficiently to distant markets. Third, the surrounding land provided room for future expansion should demand increase. Construction began around 1905. Workers cleared forest, graded land, laid foundations, and erected substantial brick structures. Large drying tunnels were constructed. Kilns were built to fire bricks at extremely high temperatures. Industrial buildings rose from the sandy landscape. For local residents, the project represented economic opportunity. Jobs would be created, rail traffic would increase. Additional businesses might emerge to support the factory's workforce. Brooksbrae appeared poised to become a major industrial success. Few people involved in the project could have imagined that the factory's greatest threat would not come from competition, resource shortages, or economic downturns. Instead, it would come from the sudden loss of the very man responsible for its creation. Chapter 4: Constructing a State-of-the-Art Factory. The Brooksbrae facility was designed according to modern industrial principles of the early 20th century. Every component of the factory served a specific purpose within the brick manufacturing process. Raw clay would arrive from nearby mining operations and enter processing buildings where impurities could be removed. The clay would then be mixed with water and prepared for molding. Specialized machinery shaped the clay into uniform bricks. These freshly formed bricks contained significant moisture and could not immediately be fired in kilns. Instead, they had to pass through drying tunnels, some of which still survive today. The drying process was critical. If moisture remained trapped inside the bricks during firing, rapid steam expansion could cause cracking or complete destruction of the product. Once properly dried, the bricks would be moved into kilns capable of reaching extremely high temperatures. During firing, the clay underwent chemical transformations that permanently hardened the material and gave bricks their strength. After firing, finished products would be loaded onto rail cars and shipped throughout the Northeast. The entire facility was engineered for efficiency. Rail access reduced transportation costs. Large production areas increased manufacturing capacity. Modern equipment promised consistent product quality. For investors, Brooksbrae represented the future of industrial brick production. Yet, despite the impressive infrastructure, the factory's success depended heavily upon continued financial support and stable leadership. Both would soon disappear. Chapter 5: Tragedy and Uncertainty. In 1908, disaster struck. William J. Kelly died unexpectedly. His death created immediate uncertainty surrounding the future of the project. Kelly had not merely provided financial backing. He had served as the central figure guiding the factory's development. His vision, leadership, and investment had driven construction forward. Without him, ownership questions emerged. Legal disputes involving Kelly's estate complicated financial matters. Court proceedings delayed access to funds. Investors became cautious. Creditors worried about the project's future. Construction slowed dramatically. Some work may have continued, but momentum had been lost. Industrial projects depend heavily upon confidence. Investors must believe future profits justify present expenses. Workers need assurance that jobs will continue. Suppliers require confidence that payments will be made. Following Kelly's death, confidence evaporated. Buildings stood partially completed. Equipment remained unused. Opportunities slipped away. While competitors elsewhere continued expanding, Brooksbrae struggled simply to survive. The factory's future became increasingly uncertain. Chapter 6: A factory that never truly lived. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding Brooksbrae concerns the extent of its actual operations. Historical records are incomplete, and researchers continue debating exactly how much production occurred. Some evidence suggests limited manufacturing activity may have taken place. Certain portions of the facility appear to have been functional, and some products may have been produced before operations ceased. However, there is little evidence that Brooksbrae ever reached the large-scale production levels originally envisioned by its founders. In many ways, the factory became trapped between existence and failure. It was more than a construction project. Yet it was less than a successful factory. Years passed while uncertainty persisted. Potential investors remained hesitant. Financial challenges continued. The facility deteriorated before it ever had the opportunity to prove itself. This unusual circumstance makes Brooksbrae different from most industrial ruins. It was not abandoned after decades of operation. Instead, it was abandoned before it had a chance to fulfill its intended purpose. Chapter 7: The fire that ended everything. By 1915, Brooksbrae's prospects were already dim. Then came the event that effectively sealed its fate forever. A devastating fire swept through portions of the property. Historical accounts vary regarding the exact circumstances, but the most commonly repeated version involves a caretaker living at the site during a period of limited activity. According to local tradition, a stove or chimney fire spread rapidly through wooden portions of the complex. Once flames gained momentum, destruction became inevitable. Many industrial buildings of the era contained significant wooden structural components despite their brick exteriors. Roofs, floors, support beams, and interior partitions could burn intensely once ignited. The fire caused extensive damage. Structures that had survived years of financial uncertainty now faced physical destruction. Whatever hopes remained for reopening or revitalizing the facility largely disappeared. The factory was abandoned. This time, permanently. The dream of Brooksbrae was over. Only the ruins remained.